Hey everybody, it's Pilot here, and I am bringing you a commentary on Blood Drive. It's going to be so cool and totally not fat. Basically, what I want to talk to you today is about uh, my beginning in the world of gaming from when I was a wee little lad. I want to go all the way back to when I was about 3 years old, and what my first memory of even playing video games was basically when I was at my grandparents' house, and my aunt, who's not very much older than me, had an Atari. And the game that I remember playing, and I honestly don't know the exact name of it, I'm pretty sure it was called Moon Patrol. I'm going to try to find some clips of all these games I talk about so you can see them along with the gameplay of Gears. So you'll be able to see, oh, this is the game he's talking about. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, I might want to try to emulate it or whatever later. Probably won't want to on most of them, but there might be a couple that you want to go through. And you'll know most of the games, but a couple more are kind of obscure. I don't recommend going back and playing an Atari game at this point. I mean, it's one of those things where, in my opinion, Atari is just too old. It's kind of like the original Pac-Man, or you go to an old school arcade, and they were awesome when we were little. They're awesome back in the day, but now they just don't translate well. They don't. In my opinion, the first games that really were kind of timeless were the Nintendo games. But anyway, that's one of the games that I remember playing. Moon Patrol was basically, it was a side scroller, and if I'm not mistaken, you shot at obstacles on and aliens on the moon, and you jumped over little craters with your tank. And that was it, and it was pretty cool, and that's one of my first memories of playing a game. I was probably 3 years old, so I was very, very little, 3, 4 maybe. The next game I want to talk about is the original Super Mario Brothers. A fantastic game. I remember, I am 20, almost 28 at this point, and I remember playing it when I was probably 5 or 6, most likely 6. It had been out for a while on the Nintendo. I believe it had been out for a while, and phenomenal game. One of my earliest memories, along with again, I guess I should say one of my earliest, well, pretty much my earliest memory of playing that game was my brother had it, and he was playing it. I believe he was playing. We were both playing the game. I don't know who was playing at the time. Doesn't matter. The point is, so we're playing the game, and we're at the first level, and we're kicking butt. The first level's easy, and we get to the second level, and I'm this little kid like, oh my god, there's another. Like, we got to the second level. We're so amazing. We're so awesome. I didn't realize at that time that there's like I want to say like 50 levels or something crazy like that. So, I mean, but it was just cool because I remember running to my mom and I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to the second level. We're so awesome. And it was really kind of a fun memory as a little kid to play that game. Great game. Still would play it today. Not a lot, but here and there I'd play it. And loved that game. Next game I want to talk about is the original Zelda for the Nintendo. In my opinion, one of the greatest games ever. I am kind of an adventure game nut, so like, I love Skyrim and games like that. So Zelda was the first game where, oh, I don't have to go this direction. I can go somewhere else. I can explore. I can find caves with hearts in them, and new monsters and new weapons, and oh my gosh, I just found the silver sword. I'm so awesome. And so it was this great experience, this great game, and I loved it. Me and my brother played the tar out of that game. Multiple playthroughs probably for each of us, and if you haven't played it, if you're too young to have played the game, I recommend finding a Nintendo emulator or finding an old Nintendo or whatever you have to do, play a little bit of it. You'll probably be like, this is stupid, but I'm telling you, it's awesome. Next game on my list is for the Super Nintendo, and there was a lot of great games for the Super Nintendo. I played a lot of the Mario Brothers. I played a lot of the I played Yoshi's Island, I believe is what it was called, where you played as Yoshi and you had a little baby Mario on your back. Loved that game. But the one I really want to talk to is A Link to the Past, which may be the greatest Zelda game ever, and maybe one of the greatest games of all time. you know, it took what the original Zelda was and it made it for the Super Nintendo. And in my opinion, if you're a gamer, you can go back and play this game and have fun. Like it's still, it's, you know, if you play little stupid games on your iPhone at all, you can go back and play this game and have a blast and have a lot of fun. It is a magical, wonderful gaming experience. It's why Nintendo is so epic. Yes, I own a 360 now. I don't even own a Wii. Not because I don't like it. It's just because I only have so much time to play games, and I might get one eventually. I might get the Wii U. I don't know, but the honest truth is Nintendo's amazing, and the few things Nintendo does some great stuff, and that is one of their greatest, and I love it. And go back, play it. It is phenomenal. So at that time I was probably about 9, 10 years old, and so I want to skip ahead and talk about what happened in my gaming experience. It was this big transition where, you know, I grew up, my parents didn't have a whole lot of money, so we didn't have a lot of consoles ever. We had pretty much one console. I mean, we had the Super Nintendo probably and played that as our only console for probably, you know, way into the N64 range. Never owned an N64. The reason we never owned an N64 is because my parents were kind of like, well, we only have the money for, you know, we can have the money for a computer or a console. You know, it was that sort of thing. You can't have both. And so me and my brother really liked computers, and so we ended up getting this little stupid Macintosh when I was probably like 12 years old or younger, or 11, something like that. And this was back in the day where, you know, 8 megabytes of memory was a big deal. I loved that computer. It ran stuff like crap. I mean, it was the games we played were honestly played usually in really low resolution, and and we'd have to turn off all the detail and everything. But basically, the game I want to talk to you about that we played on that machine that really changed. I shouldn't say change. It made me realize, oh my gosh, gaming is amazing beyond just console and side scrollers and everything. Was the first person shooter I ever played, which was Marathon. And if you don't know what Marathon is, it's what made it's the game before Halo. It's what Bungie made way back in the day in the 90s. And then the main game that I played was Marathon 2. I played Marathon 1 a little bit, but Marathon 2 was the main one that I got into. Our machine barely ran it. I mean, barely ran it. I mean, we had everything lowest detailed. If back in the day when you played computer games, I don't even know if they would do this anymore. You could actually, to make it run faster, you could actually have it play on a smaller sized window in your screen, so there was less resolution it had to calculate. And so we were playing at basically 50% the size of the screen, and it still only ran at like 10 frames per second. But we still played it. We played the whole game like that, and it was a blast. Loved it. And if you've never played Marathon, or I'm sorry, Marathon 2 is really a good one. If you've never played Marathon 2, load it up if you get a chance. Play a few rounds of it. It is fun. I do believe there was a version of it that they ported for the Xbox on Xbox Live Arcade, but don't quote me on that. It might have been Marathon Infinity. Not sure. Anyway, there's some version of Marathon for Xbox, but the next game I want to talk about. This one's obscure. The graphics are kind of lame, but it was weirdly appealing, and I can't really explain it. I've not run into very many other games like this. It was called Escape Velocity Override. It was the sequel to another game. I got this Override when I was 14. And it looked like you were playing an Asteroids knockoff. The graphics were obviously way better, but it looked like you were playing Asteroids knockoff, and when you played it, you basically got to buy ships, explore the galaxy, trade goods, do missions, ferry passengers from point to point. There were space pirates that tried to attack you and take and kill you. It was the first game I ever ran into that had, I don't know why I didn't die from that grenade. Hopefully this commentary matches up with the, exactly with the video. But anyway, back to Override. You know, it was really the first game that, for me, that was, it took the concept of Zelda, kind of, that I could do whatever, kind of whatever I wanted. Well, no, you can't do whatever you want. It was actually the first game I ever played where you could do whatever you wanted to do. You could go exploring, you could go, just try to be a pirate and take other ships' cargo and credits. You could basically it was Eve. If you know what Eve is, it's an MMO for space junkies. You know, it's a space ship MMO. It was Eve with just the crappiest graphics and no multiplayer. So it was a single player Eve basically, and it was 2D. So for me it was like, it let me pretend that I was this great space explorer, you know, and that was what was awesome about it. There is a version of it, the newer version, which is called Eevee Nova, which is for, it's still a very old game, but that was also ported to Windows. It wasn't just on the Macintosh, and it is a good game as well. I think Override is a little bit better as far as, not graphically, obviously, but as far as the missions that you could take were more interesting. But other than that, it was pretty much the same game, just better graphics and better AI and all that. You know, your standard sequel, basically. But Override was awesome. I played that game to death. Played tons of mods for it. There was actually one mod that was really frustrating because it was really this well-made mod, and I honestly don't remember the name of it. I don't remember the even really what I was doing in the mod exactly. All I remember about it, it was really unique because in the game you had text boxes, so like you go get a mission, the guy'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna be heading to Mars, you know, well, you're gonna be heading to Alpha Centauri with a shipment of you know, medical supplies, and you need to go there, and once you get there, talk to Sam, and Sam will get you this new, you know, will give you a new laser cannon for your ship if you do this mission." And there was only so much space you could have for a text box, and then you'd get a mission or you'd continue the next part of the mission. Well, this guy actually had, he was like so into storytelling, he actually had you get a code from one of those text boxes, because there was a limited amount of text you could have, and then it unlocked an encrypted file that came with the mod, which opened up this text document, which had this really, like, I wouldn't say really long, but probably like 4 or 5 Word document pages of story that came along with the mod that explained things more. And that to me was really, really cool. Never got to finish the mod, unfortunately, because it was I ran out of fuel in one of the, what's it called? In one of the solar systems with no planets, and nobody was there. So basically, if you run out of fuel and you're in a dead solar system, you better have a save that goes back to a previous point where you were on a planet, and I didn't, and it sucked, and I was really, really mad, and I didn't want to start that mod all over again, so I just kind of let it go. But that was really cool. Loved the game. This has kind of been my early years history of gaming. I hope you enjoyed it, and I might have to find some more clips for this commentary. Alright guys, hey, thanks so much for watching. If you find this video, you're awesome. Don't have the biggest YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Peace.